Welcome everyone. I am Dr. Shambhu Yadav, a research scientist at Harvard Medical School. And today we are going to learn about how to stop unnecessary thoughts while studying. So let's dive in. Imagine sitting down with the goal of studying intensely for the next hour. The environment is quiet, the material are set, and the mind seems ready. But after a few minutes, thoughts start to interfere, one after the other, pulling attention away. And this pattern is all too common and can feel relentless, but understanding the science behind why the mind does this and how it can be gently guided back to focus can make a world of difference. Neuroscience offers some powerful insight, revealing how the brain works during moments of distraction and providing methods to redirect attention. One fundamental reason unnecessary thought come up during the focused activity like study is due to how the brain's networks are structured. So neuroscientists have identified two primary systems in the brain that are responsible for focus and mind wandering. The default mode network, that is DMN, and the task positive network, that is TPN. The DMN is activated when the mind is at rest, such as when daydreaming or reflecting, while the TPN light up during the concentrated effort like studying or solving problem. These two networks essentially compete for the dominance, and during moment of the intense study, the brain may tired of maintaining TPN activity, allowing the DMN to pull focus away. And this natural switch back and forth is why random thoughts can pop up and feel so compelling. With the practice though, it is possible to strengthen the TPN and train the mind to stay focused. A helpful strategy to start with a mind dump, a technique that calms the DMN by giving it a space to release thoughts before studying. By setting aside 5 minutes to write down everything that on the mind, idea, reminder, plans on piece of paper, and the brain can unload these thoughts. This simple exercise engages the TPN as the task is being completed, giving the brain its break from the holding on to stale thoughts. So research shows that the expressive writing that helps process and organize thoughts, clearing the mental cluster and allowing focus to return more easily. After these 5 minutes, the brain is in a more relaxed state, making it easier to focus on studying without the DMN interrupting with the unrelated thoughts. As studying begins, the mindfulness-based breathing, particularly the breathing technique, can serve as an anchor for the focus. Mindfulness techniques have been shown in the study to strengthen the prefrontal cortex, that is a part of our brain that responsible for concentration and decision making. So simple breathing exercises help reduce activity in the DMN while they reinforcing the neuronal pathway that favor TPN activation. When the random thoughts arise, the observing them without reacting, then gently bring focus back to the breath. Give the prefrontal cortex a moment to recalibrate and re-engage in the task that at hand. So regular mindful practice essentially act as a training for the brain to recognize and release wandering thought without struggling against. Another neuroscience-backed technique for the managing distraction is a structured study interval, such as the Pomodoro techniques. A study shows that the brain naturally operates in the cycle, shifting between the peak of intense focus and valley of rest. By setting a timer for 25 minutes of studying, followed by 5-minute break, it becomes easier to align with the brain natural rhythm. And during these 25 minutes, the brain expects focus fully, and knowing a break is near help ease the cognitive load. When the break arrives, the DMN can activate without disturbing the study session, allowing time for the brain to recharge. And this approach capitalized on the brain ultradian rhythm, the natural 90 to 120 minutes cycle of heightened and reduced alertness, and reinforcing neuronal pathway that helps sustain attention. Although these 90 to 120 minute ultradian rhythms known for long, but is not have a fully attention for such a long time. Actually, the 45 to 55 minute is the best time to have a fully concentrated during the study. And the next is visualization. So visualization can be another powerful tool for maintaining focus, especially when unwanted thoughts are persistent. So neuroscience research into the mental imaginary suggests that the brain processes imagined experiences similar to real ones. So meaning that the visualization can actively shift the brain focus. The brain observes, acknowledges, and then lets go, minimizing distraction. And this imaginary technique activates the right hemisphere that is known for the handling abstract and the creative tasks, and the balance the engagement between both brain hemispheres, which make us brain less likely to be overwhelmed by stress thoughts. A significant factor in focus management is the environmental itself. Neuroscience shows that the brain is highly responsible to environmental causes and often form the context-dependent memories, where the setting affects the recall and processing of information. So by setting up a consistent distraction-free space for studying, the brain learns to associate with that location with focus and concentration. And next is layered learning, or the practice of approaching material in stages. That is another neuroscience informed approach to managing focus and reducing mental overload. So starting with a quick overview of material allows the brain to form preliminary framework, engaging the hippocampus, which is known for the memory formation and spatial navigation. As familiarity with the material increases through subsequent layer of the deeper study, that is called prefrontal cortex, which is the another brain part that is better able to maintain attention without becoming overwhelmed. The brain's initial exposure creates a mental map of the content, so making it easier to engage deeply in the second pass without constant mental drifting. And this layer approach aligns with cognitive load theory, which suggests that the breaking complex information into smaller, digestible chunks reduces the strain on the working memory, allowing for more sustained focus. In addition to all this technique, something as simple as regular practice of gratitude that can boost focus. So neuroscientific study on the gratitude have shown that when individuals actively reflect on these things they are grateful for, it releases the dopamine, which is the reward neurotransmitter, and activates the brain's reward center. When the brain feels rewarded, the motivation and focus increase, making it easier to engage in the task without constant mental wandering. By beginning each study session with a brief moment of gratitude, dopamine level rise, naturally boosting the brain ability to engage without distraction. One last consideration is physical well-being. While has an undeniable impact on focus, research shows that the regular physical activity stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is the BDNF. This is a protein that supports the growth of new neurons and strengthens the connection between existing neurons. High BDNF levels are associated with better cognitive performance and focus, while low levels are linked to mental fatigue and wandering thoughts. So incorporating even short bursts of exercise like a quick walk or a stretching session into a study routine can increase BDNF level, improving mental clarity and reduce the frequency of unnecessary thoughts. So incorporating these strategies form a comprehensive approach to managing focus, weaving together practices that draw on the brain's own strength. By understanding and reflecting the natural tendency of brain from the competing between the DMN and TPN to the benefit of the structure environment, physical wellness, then focus becomes less about the battling distraction and more about creating a supportive mental landscape. So the process of maintaining focus is not just simply a matter of silencing the mind. Neuroscience tells us that the distraction is a natural part of brain function, with the mind constantly working to the process, store, and retrieve information. So instead, the resisting these the wandering thought, gently guiding attention back, strengthening the prefrontal cortex, and creating the right condition for the study, all contribute to the harmonious, effective focus. Through this science-backed method, studying becomes not only a task for the learning, but a practice for the mental discipline, one that builds the resilience to keep thoughts at the bay and enhance the brain capacity to dive deeply into the any subject which you want to learn. So thank you for the watching and see you in the next video.